السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Unfortunately, today we're not going to continue with the names of Allah. And initially, when I was thinking, what should we do as a series for Ramadan, I thought to do the whole thing on families, on the husband towards the wife towards the husband, the parents towards the children towards the parents. The only reason we didn't do that is that it's not what people need spiritually in Ramadan. We want to talk about something spiritual. The whole idea is getting nearer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you remember last year, we made the Eid khutbah about raising children because of this problem that we have. And first of all, let's admit that we have a problem with how we raise our children. None of us took a class or a course or read many books on raising children. That's the reality. I mean, which one of us took courses? You'll find few and far between. Very few people took a class on how to raise their children. So, we're not going to do the names of Allah because we need to talk about our children and what is happening with the youth right now in this very masjid. It's such dhulm, it's such injustice to be standing here focusing on the ayat, khushu' and crying, and your child is downstairs and he's not 6. I'm not talking about the 6 and 7 year olds. Even though the 7-year-old should start praying, I'm talking about the 12, 13, 14, 16-year-olds. Right now, we're not talking about the son of the person sitting next to you. Your son, do you know what he's doing right now? Do you have any idea? Why isn't he next to you? You see a few fathers here, their son is always next to them, praying next to them. But why isn't your son next to you? And what is he doing downstairs? I prayed downstairs for a couple of nights. Otherwise I wouldn't pause Asma Allah to do this talk. It's a disaster, ya ikhwan, a disaster. You think I'm just exaggerating? I wish they were just not praying. Then I wouldn't give this talk. Who cares if they don't pray? Tarawih. No, they have no idea of the sanctity of the salah or the masjid. Using profanity, and I heard it with my own ears. Bad words that I can't repeat. Bad words, not silly words. Using profanity in the masjid. That means they have no idea about the sanctity of the masjid. Running around like playing tag football right in front of us while we're praying. And I have no regard for those people who are praying. I don't even understand what this thing is. Using profanity, running around. And the father might be upstairs here crying. And the child is downstairs. بيته يرتع ويلعب يسبسب ويقول في هذا والله it's so unacceptable. So, 2 techniques to get your children to pray Tarawih with you. Alright? I'll not explain them quickly. But I'll quickly tell you about a masjid. Recently, I was with them in a meeting and they said, they were talking about the Ramadan program and they said they have a Tarawih for the youth. I said, what is that? So the youth ages 12, 13, 14, 15, they stand behind another imam who's like 21 and he just reads Al-Fatiha, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They have like a youth Tarawih. First thing I told them that's bad tarbiyah. And they were all shocked. And shocked. How could you call this bad tarbiyah? So one of them told me that one of the youth told us, one of the most boring experiences I have in my life is praying Tarawih next to my father. He's just standing here. He's bored, huh? When is this over? First of all, as for parents, next time your child tells you, I'm bored. يدوب الجزمة على راسه على طول. ليش I'm bored دي؟ كل واحد يقول لك I'm bored تخضع له تستسلم. إن شاء الله bored لما خلينا حلوين مع بعض. ليش I'm bored دي؟ So what if he's bored? Life is boring. يلا. قول لي your mother is boring كمان. لا خلينا حلوين. But you understand, every time someone says I'm bored, خلاص. I'm bored in Tarawih. طب يلا. Use profanity and run around the masjid and have no respect and no regard for anybody. So what if you're bored? So what are the 2 techniques? Number one is reassign the value. Okay, I'll give you a quick scenario. We were recently in some kind of course for counseling, and they brought up a case, a real case. This guy said in our masjid there's this very rich man, and he donates a lot to the masjid. So his son comes and breaks things. He'll come and break this lamp on purpose. he'll break it, he'll break this picture over here, he'll break something else, he'll break the microphone. And when we speak to him, he says, my dad paid for it. He donates a lot to this masjid. He said, we went and spoke to his father. His father said, yes, let him break. Don't let anyone stop my son. I donated to the masjid. I paid for these things. Let him break it. So everyone was talking about this was such a problem for them. How did you deal with this person? And it was not a big problem. All you have to do is just change the values that he has here. This father lacks understanding one issue here. Once you gave it, it's not yours. It's for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Just one person needs to sit down with him and explain that to him. If he doesn't get it, give him a gift. A basket of fruit. Tell him, this is a gift for you. I'm going to leave it here. After Isha, I'll give it to you. After Isha, have one of your friends take it and run away with it. When he's looking for it, tell him, I can't, maybe tomorrow we'll give it to you. Tomorrow, give it to him, everything half eaten. A bite out of everything. Give it to him. He said, well, who ate it? Tell him, well, since I bought it with my money, I figured I could take a bite out of each one. Immediately he'll understand. Once you give it, you give something for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, the sanctity of the masjid, you can't just come and break it because you donated. It's not yours anymore, it's the house of Allah. Change that value. So number one, change the value of what Taraweeh is. It's not just standing like this, bored and counting. Fadal count 2, this is the 4, only 2 more. That's all it is. Hearing words in another language and I'm just standing and bored. Tell him the value of standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like that. Teach him the value of what this will do for you and for your nafs. When you teach your nafs sabr, not just I'm bored, khalas. La ya habibi, you're bored. Ba'd al-shar alayk ya baba. You're bored. Ya rahmama. It's very frustrating. Change the value of what Taraweeh is and what it means. You know, one of the people who lived during the time of Imam Ahmad, he said, كنت أرى أحمد بن حنبل يحيي الليل وهو غلام. He used to wake up by himself every night and spend the night in prayer when he was a young boy. So when we just, khalas masakeen, let them enjoy their childhood, but at what point do they suddenly become the men that stand in Taraweeh? How? If I do a little Qul Huwallahu Ahad Taraweeh for them, a youth Taraweeh, what point do we transition them to come and pray in the masjid? These are the leaders of tomorrow. Every time they say I'm bored, khalas, we run. That's the first thing. So how do you get your child to pray Taraweeh? We said number one, change the value of what Taraweeh means. It's not just standing there waiting for it to be over. Standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give it value to Him. Explain the same values that make you stand here, impart them onto your child. That's one. Number two, very powerful technique. And research has shown that when you have someone set their own goals, set their own standards, set their own objectives, they will make a much greater effort to meet those objectives or goals than if you set the goals for them. And if I tell my son, read a juz of Quran a day, he won't do it as much as if I tell him, look, what do you want to read per day? A juz, half a juz, quarter of a juz. Let him decide and he will live up to that goal by himself. Alright? We're going a bit long here, but just want you to see how powerful this is. So I used to be chaplain of a university in Virginia. This woman, this sister came to me, tears in her face, crying. What's your problem? She said, my husband doesn't help me around the house. I'm getting my PhD, and I have a child, and I work full time. I come home and there are a million things to do, and my husband just sits and watches television. And I have to cook and clean and do the laundry and shower the boy and put him to bed and do my schoolwork. I'm getting ready for work tomorrow. And he's just sitting flipping channels. And God forbid, in the midst of all this, I burn the food or something, he starts screaming and yelling, His Highness. So how can I get him to help me? So I said, did you ever ask him to help you? He said, yeah. He helps for a day or two, then he sits on the couch and watches television again. How can I get him to do his job? Or help me with my job, So I said, okay, get a blank piece of paper and a pen. Sit down with him and list all the chores in the house. And mashallah, women are very good at listing. So I have to do this and this and this and this and this and this. Okay, I can't do it alone. What will you do? He's lazy, he'll probably say just this and that. She said, no, but there's still this and this and this. Okay. And he'll make the list. He'll write down everything he'll be in charge of in the house. Now you take that piece of paper, fold it, put it in your pocket. This piece of paper now will transform to a license to nag. Because we know in 2 days he's going to sit and do nothing. So you're going to come and you're going to say, what's with the vacuuming? The dishes are still dirty. You didn't do the laundry. When he gets upset, it's on, wait a minute, did I tell you to do the laundry and the dishes and these things? Or did you say you're going to do it? So most likely if he chooses his own objectives, his own tasks, he'll make a greater effort to fulfill them. So I told her to do that. 2 months later she comes back, or maybe 3-4 months later, big smile on her face. Alhamdulillah, he's been doing his work ever since. I hope tonight the sisters are listening. Now, same thing. Give your child a choice. Tell him, look, I want you to give me 4 rak'at every night. And I don't care which ones they are. You pick. You can do the first 2 and then go play with your friends. Or you can do the first 2, first 4. Or you can do the first 2 and the last 2, play in the middle. Or you can do the middle 2. Or you can do the last 2, play in the beginning. But just every day come and report to me which of the 2 rak'at or which 4 rak'at you prayed. Give him that objective. Right? And then he prays them next to you, whichever ones he wants, and then he can go and play. But let him set his own goals here. 2, we said, or the first one, was to re-evaluate, to give different value to Taraweeh. At least we'll try something. Because wallahi, to just pray here every single night while your child is downstairs cursing and everything, that's a disaster. And what do you think? We're in America, where are we? They're years away from being exposed to all kinds of things. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them.